So what I want to talk to you real quick about this one is lucky shots, things that just kind of happen. Again, I do mostly documentary work, so sure we establish scenes sometimes as we build things. Interviews obviously are pre-lit, all that kind of thing. But sometimes you're out and about and you're filming for a project and everything just kind of works together. Most of the time, this is going to be something that's got some kind of amazing lighting or whatever, and I'm going to just show you a few examples of things like that that have worked out. Well, several of them happen to be drone shots. I do a lot of drone work, and I can talk more about drone if you guys are interested. But anyway, I just thought it'd be kind of interesting to show some of these kind of shots that I love. These are some of my favorite shots I've done in recent years, and I'll give a little bit of a backstory on them, and then let you know what kind of how they happened, and maybe some insight on maybe how you can catch that as well in your projects. So here we go. So this first setup that I've got is something that I shot, I think around 2017, 18, and this was for Nat Geo. And I have another video. I will share the link of that video so you guys can watch my description of this whole project, which was a lot of fun. And this was with bats, and it was a really kind of a crazy situation. And you can kind of see here, we had kind of these dark skies over here. You can obviously see a lot of bright sunlight over in this section right here. And then you see these right here. These are all the bats that were coming through that we filmed. And we were unsure how the day was going to go. So bats come out in the evening, and then once so they're going to go out and go hunting. These are Mexican free-tail bats, and they go hunting for insects. And so if it rains at all, they will go right back in the cave. And for us, that would have been a wash on the shoot. But we were obviously hoping to have some really nice sky. I've got a lot more shots in that other video that I will share, and I'm going to just kind of show you just real quick, just a little bit of a roll of this. There we go, right there. So you kind of get a sense of what it looks like. Just really, really kind of a cool dynamic shot. And we just really lucked out. Again, we had the sun coming in from behind. We had, all these bats that kind of come in as a stream, like right there. And they were just like hitting the light like perfectly right over here with the sun. This was shot with a Phantom 4 Pro at the time, and it was not a large drone. You guys know kind of the classic quadcopter kind of look. Had an ND filter on it and shot it probably at an f4, f5.6, somewhere around there, just to kind of give not too shallow of a look. You're trying to capture as much of the scene as you can. Crazy how it all worked out. And this was literally like within like a 10-minute period that it all just kind of came together. The rain went away, the sky started to clear, we had great clouds, we had great contrast, great everything. Just lucked out. So then there's another one right here. This one is crazy shot too. This was done in California back in January of 24, and shot this with the Mavic 3 Pro Cine. So we shot this in ProRes, and you can actually see there's obviously a rainbow here. There's another rainbow starting up right here. This is a solar farm, so you got all the solar panels, and we kind of had the sun coming in from kind of behind. So the sun would have been over in this area, shining in this way. And then we got this nice rainbow. You can kind of see this nice golden light right here. And this is out in the desert around Palmdale area. So the same kind of thing. We got out there at probably about 4:30 in the morning, super dark. There was a lot of predicted rain, a lot of bad weather, and we just had no idea what was going to come of it. So this was kind of a hit or miss kind of opportunity, and we only had this one morning to go and get these particular shots. And so as we were out there, I was looking across and I could see the sky, and it was just starting to break a little bit, and we just got the sunrise coming through. And next thing you know, we got this beautiful rainbow. That one's the next one I'll show you. But so just this amazing, rainbow popped up. And there's actually other shots I had too from the reverse angle, where actually there was kind of a little bit of raindrops coming on the drone. A little risky to fly a drone, in the rain. You don't want to do that. You can damage the electronics. But it was such an amazing opportunity, and I just had to take it. So that's what we did. We just grabbed it and got this really fun shot. So the next shot, as you just saw, is this one right here, and I'll play it, and then I'll come back to it. So, and that'll be our next one in a second. So anyway, this one right here was in October of 23, and it was for a documentary. And I talked a little bit on another video about the interviews for the documentary, and then this was obviously the B-roll. We had gone out of town. This is around Pecos, Texas, and we had gone out of town to film some interviews and whatnot. We were driving back into town, and one of the things that the director wanted was these flares that you can see right here. So this big old flare, and these are just like kind of flare outs from, it's a big oil and gas area, and it was part of the story. He really wanted to tell that, and he wanted some shots of that, and we hadn't really gotten much during the time that we were filming. But this, as we were driving back, again, the sun was starting to come down. We're getting sunset, and I just had a really strong feeling that we might get some really interesting weather. And sure enough, we got one rainbow, two rainbows, and the flames. So it was just kind of like a knockout of the park. Got everything to work out. So lucky to get something like this. And the director, he was in a different vehicle than I was with my assistant Chris, and Chris and I were we were starting to see this kind of happen. You can kind of see this is actually rain coming down right here, and so you have these heavy clouds on this side, kind of really deep blue over here, and the sun was coming in from this angle, coming in behind. Boy, that's a really bad arrow. Look at that thing. Oh, look how okay. Never mind. But what was great was we shot this, and then the director ended up going back to the hotel, and he said, "Man, are you seeing these rainbows? These rainbows are awesome. Can you get any of these rainbows?" And I just had to have some fun with him. I was like, "No, we couldn't get anything like that. We're really bummed, man. We're really so sorry that we couldn't get anything for you that you wanted." And then, of course, when we got to the hotel about 30 minutes later, we showed him this, and he just was over the moon. He was so excited about this shot, and it's in the trailer for the documentary. It's in the documentary, and it's one of probably the more defining shots that we had in there. And again, just total luck, really, just being in the right place at the right time, happened to see it, and really just kind of taking a chance. And again, we not 2 minutes after this shot was done, it just started pouring down rain. The rainbows went away. It all just disappeared and was gone. So it just was a moment that we just happened to capture at the right time. And that's something that, you try and do, especially when you're doing documentary, is like sometimes you have to be aware of the environment and the surroundings and things that are happening, and just kind of make that moment and take advantage of it whenever you can. And that's what we got with that one. So then the next shot right here is, and hold on, let me fix that. So the next shot that we have is going to be this one right here. And what's cool is you see the sun going right by her mouth, right through the window. So this was another shot that this was actually planned. This was not something that we did by happenstance. And I used a sun tracking app, and there's a few of them out there. This one that I use is called Helios. I've got no connection with Helios. I'm not getting paid by them or anything like that. But Helios was the app that I used, and we were at this bar. We definitely took advantage of the space as far as like we used hazers in here, so you can see like there's some nice light coming through. And then as the hold on, as the camera starts to go around, we got pop right there. We got that little bit of sun coming through, and clearly the sun, you can just see the haze right there. You see it on this, and see it coming through here, and more haze on this. And then we just had these two ladies right here, so nicely kind of backlit right here. And you got the hair that's lit up, and it's clearly it's in a bar. You see they've got their drinks right here and whatnot. So this was done for a tourism video, actually, for the city of Denton, Texas. And you can actually even see right here in the background is the courthouse. So this was in a bar that was looking out over the courthouse, and I was just really thinking, man, it'd be so fun to have the sun come through right at the right time. And clearly, you're not always going to have that opportunity, but we had a nice day out there, a nice sunny day. I used the tracker to kind of figure out what time the sun was going to come and also when it was going to come in. So these tracker apps will show kind of the curve of the sun throughout the day and show you kind of the demarcation of the time. This will be at 3 o'clock, this will be at 4 o'clock, this will be at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever it is. And so I determined it was going to be in this window at this exact time, and this is where it was going to come in. So it was definitely a measured shot, but it was really fun to do. And like I said, at the end result, I thought was really kind of a fun one. I really enjoyed getting that shot knocked out. And again, just kind of go back and forth with it. You kind of just see how it goes. Boom, like that. So really kind of a fun day. So sometimes, it's one of my favorite shots, but it's also something, it took some planning to make sure that we got it the way that we wanted. But again, we were in the right place to get this done. We had to film in this location. It was part of our schedule. I hadn't really, planned it out before as far as like, oh, let's do it right at this time. It happened to be relatively close to sunset, and we got it figured out, got it timed out, and we waited probably about an hour or so to get the shot. Totally worth it. And then the last one I'm going to cover is this one right here. And this is one that I did for a job in Hawaii. And this is in Honolulu, out on the beach. And the client just needed some B-roll of, you know, just the environment there and what, things that are going on. And so I just spent a few hours. You can see it's in slow motion. This was shot with the Sony A7S II, actually. And I think I shot it at 60 frames. And as far as the image quality as opposed to the A7S III or something newer, there's definitely, a bit of a difference, but still got everything that I wanted. What was cool was when I was filming here, there was obviously you see this fisherman here, and he's got this really crazy fishing pole that's going there. And he just I was just filming this, which already looks pretty spectacular, especially with this amazing sun coming through. It was coming through the clouds and coming down and all that, and I was just really enjoying that. You see the sailboats, here's a boat, all this stuff. And there's surfers as well, so I was trying to get some of the surfers off in the distance. And I was just really enjoying the reflections of the light and the sky and all this. And this guy just kind of comes in my shot. And at first I was a little bit disappointed, thinking, well, great, now I'm going to have to move somewhere else. I'm not really one to, tell people, hey, get out of my shot, especially for a project like this documentary. It wasn't my thing. So I just kind of let him kind of do his thing. And what was kind of cool was he was just kind of became part of the scenery. And I imagine this guy probably does this all the time, just goes out and goes fishing. And it had added to me another little layer. It just this one guy, he's not filling the frame or anything like that. He's just right there. That's it. And it just adds a little bit to me to the texture of the whole shot. But again, a fortunate evening. You're not always going to get a great sunset, and I could tell you the number of times that a client says, oh, "Okay, we want to have this shot at sunset," and I have so many times I have clients that say, okay, we want at the end of the day, we want to have this amazing sunset. We want to show whatever. It's like, well, you have no control over that. And a lot of times you're just not going to get the sunset that you want. I even had a lengthy discussion with a client at a wind farm where they wanted the sunset. And I already predicted late in the afternoon that we were going to get kind of a cloudy layer. In California, they call it the marine layer, but you get this kind of cloudy layer over the horizon, and the sun just goes right back into those clouds, and you lose the sunset completely. And I started to see the clouds gather on the horizon, and I told him it wasn't going to work, and he just didn't believe me. So they had to pay us overtime to sit there and watch the sun go into nothing, and it was just kind of a crappy sunset. This one obviously turned out to be pretty fabulous, and it was a great time to do it. The other thing, I've got a lot of sunset shots, and happy to share those kind of insights if you guys are interested in and working with different environments. But that one with this sunset, it just kind of worked out. It's an earlier sunset, as you can see. It's pretty high up in the horizon, so to speak. Obviously, you can see there here is a cloud layer right on the horizon. So there's a chance, and I don't recall now from that day, that when it goes down, it's going to go behind that cloud layer and you're going to lose the sun. Now, sometimes you have an environment like this, and these clouds up here, they're already getting some color, can get even more color, and you get a lot of deep reds and oranges and things like that, and purples, and it's really, really beautiful. Again, it's luck of the draw. You don't always know. There are apps out there that have kind of sunrise and sunset predictors, but they're not always super accurate, and you don't always, have just because it says it's going to be a good or a bad sunset, that may not be the day that you're filming something. So there you go. You've lost it. Anyway, I hope you guys were interested in that. Hope you liked what you saw. And yeah, if there's more things that you guys want to see, let me know. If there's anything in particular that you're interested in knowing from someone like me who works in the industry and does this for a living, I'm happy to share it. And yeah, so just catch me, like and subscribe, all that kind of crap. And I will hope to talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks.